there are differences between accountability and responsibility. Now, responsibility is the obligation when you are still undertaking the project or whatever activity that you're doing. So we are saying who is responsible, meaning currently. But after it has been done, na imeisha, then now we are saying that you're now accountable for your actions. So responsibility and accountability are almost the same, only that one mostly comes after, that is accountability, and then responsibility during, right? But in both cases, you are answerable, right? You take up the responsibility, you are answerable in both cases. I want you to write, we need to define the two because the examiner can ask you to talk about that. So you can say that responsibility is the obligation. Responsibility is the obligation of the subordinate to perform an organizational task. It is an obligation to perform a task. It is an obligation to perform a task. It is an obligation to perform a task, function, or activities that have been delegated. An obligation to perform a task, function, or activities that have been delegated to him or her. So, the obligation to do the work is now what we call responsibility because it is during the action, you need to do it. It is you who has to do it. So you are obligated. But when we talk about accountability, it is about being answerable to the outcome or the impact of that particular action that you are undertaking. So, somebody by the name Cons and Donnells said that the obligation of a subordinate to carry out duties assigned to him, that is what we call a responsibility. Let's look at the features of responsibility. Features of responsibility. Number one, it originates from superior to subordinate relationship. How can this happen? You know, we say that when we look at delegation, it was about giving your responsibility and also power or authority. That is what you're giving away. But we are saying that you can't give responsibility fully to somebody in the lower level. Of course, when you have given a responsibility, you've given out a responsibility, that person needs to undertake that activity and get back to you or give you the feedback. So we are saying that this one originates where somebody at a higher level has given the subordinate, the superior has given subordinate an authority and responsibility. So the subordinate is now obligated to undertake the responsibility. And he has to give the feedback back to the superior. He has to give the feedback of the results back to the superior. So it means that for you to have a responsibility, it means that there is somebody that you are answerable to during the time when you are undertaking the activity. Therefore, being that it is a relationship between two people, one person must be a higher position, and that person is the superior. So superior has delegated the responsibility to subordinate. The subordinate needs to give feedback or the results to the person who has delegated such kind of role. The next one is, it is upward sloping. So you cannot be responsible if you are not able to be held accountable, right? We have upward So we are saying that you have to be answerable or you need to be obligated to somebody who is at the upper level. So the level of responsibility increases as we move up the organization hierarchy. It always flows upward from juniors to seniors, right? So those who are here at the lower level, they are more accountable or they're answerable to the actions to the people at the higher level. So it moves like that, right? So as it moves back, then the people in the lower level have to be answerable to the people at the top level, that is the superior. So that is why we are saying it is upward sloping, because you have to answer or give results upward. The person at the top level who has delegated responsibility cannot be held responsible, or we are saying that is not answerable to the people at the lower level. It is the opposite. The people at the lower level to be answerable to the people at the top level. So it is upward sloping. Responsibility cannot be delegated absolutely. Responsibility cannot be delegated absolutely. So we are saying that even though you can give out responsibility, you have to be held accountable. And I've explained this one. I explained it earlier. If you are the CEO of the organization, you can delegate. You can make somebody have the powers and the responsibility to undertake a certain activity, but the buck stops with you. So you can't delegate it absolutely 100%. You still remain answerable. It is the result of the authority. This is the result of the authority. We are saying that whoever has been given responsibility must be given an equivalent authority. L3REvision says that responsibility is the result of authority, meaning that responsibility occurs as a result of the authority. If you're not given the powers to undertake a certain activity, then you should not be questioned. You should not be answerable. Kwa sababu your hands are tied. You cannot action. So you only action when you have the powers. And once you actions, then now you can be questioned or you can be held obligated. You can actually be obligated to the results or the outcome of the activity. So L3REvision says that responsibility is a result of the authority. And without authority, there is no responsibility. Kama hujapewa powers ya kufanya kazi, then they should not ask you why you have not done it or why you've done it less than expectation. We are saying that the next point is that it is the obligation of a person to perform a given task. Responsibility is the obligation of a person to perform a given task. An obligation to perform a given task. That is what we mean by responsibility. The next one, responsibility exists as long as the task is still ongoing. If the task is ended, then responsibility also ends. Now accountability starts. Mkienda vita, for example, maybe KDF or whatever, wakienda vita, and then wapate maybe risasi imepotea. After that, when they are back, they need to be accountable. They need to account for everything that they went with, every tools that they used, they need to account for it. That one is now called accountability, aftermath. But they have a responsibility to take care of each person. They have a responsibility to take care of each of them or their neighbors when they are in the battlefield. So that one is the responsibility, the obligation. As long as the war is going on, they are having a responsibility to ensure that there is harmony, or at least wananchi are protected. That is a responsibility. But once they have done their assignment and they are back, then they need to account for the deaths that occur. They need to account for the lost, whether it is goods, materials, properties, or whatever. That is not now responsibility, but accountability. So that's why we are saying responsibility only exists as long as the work is still going on. It is the obligation of a person to perform a given task. And we are saying number 6, it exists as long as the task is still ongoing. As long as the task is ongoing, it is a responsibility. If the task ended, it is accountability. I hope that we are together. Let's look at accountability. So we want to define accountability so that you can be able to understand. The reason why I'm doing this, I've seen past paper where the examiner asked to define accountability and also define responsibility. And most students could not differentiate. And so they got it wrong. 4 marks is going because 2, 2, 2, right? 4 marks. So let's look at accountability so that you can understand the differences. Define accountability as, you write for me, accountability. And then you define it and say, accountability is an obligation. Accountability is an obligation. Accountability is an obligation for which one can be held to account for one's results. You account for the results. Accountability is an obligation. It is an obligation for which one can be held, to account for one's results and one's action. To account for one's result and one's action by a specified other. By a specified other. Yani a specific person can hold you responsible. That could be your boss or any other person or authority. So we are saying that accountability in the workplace is all about setting and holding people to a common expectation by clearly defining what they need to do, and then you compare what they have done and what was expected. So if you have been sent on a peace mission, and after that we find that there was a massacre, then at that point we are saying that you are now accountable, right? So employees accountability means holding all levels of employees responsible for accomplishing business goals. So they need to be accountable in terms of the expectation. Let's look at features of accountability. Number 1, accountability cannot be delegated, not like responsibility. Accountability that's number 1. Accountability cannot be reduced. Such that at useme, after the action maybe watu wamekufa, sasa unaambiwa no, you are going to be accountable but not to some extent. Utakuwa tu accountable kidogo. Superiors are accountable for the acts of their subordinates. In other words, by delegating their authority, the superiors cannot reduce their accountability. The fact that they have given you the power to do whatever they have told you to do does not mean that they are not accountable for the action. the results of the actions remain on their side. They have to explain. So you cannot reduce it. Accountability is always upward. Accountability is always upward. All right. Accountability is unitary. It is unitary. So what does this mean? A subordinate should be accountable to only one boss. Unity, one point. In case he has made a mistake or is meant to be accountable to one boss, there will be a confusion. In case he has not been made, like in case you are making him to be accountable to more people, there'll be confusion. So let's say that you are the employee. So your boss has given you some work to do, and another boss is coming to tell you that you are accountable to him. So you're accountable to two people. You cannot be accountable to two people at any given time or at the same time. The reason is the person who has given you the authority and the responsibility to act must have given you the standard to meet. He is the one who set the standard, and he has put the nerve control to ensure that you meet the standard or expectation. If you have a different person coming in who does not understand the standard, who does not understand the expectation, it will bring confusion. It will bring confusion because these are two different people who have different understanding and expectations. Also, they say that a man cannot serve two masters at the same time. It means that you're going to have concentration to please one person. At the same time, you want to please another person. You might not fulfill their expectation at the same time. So it is only one at a time. And that is why we are saying that accountability is unitary. The next thing we are saying that accountability standards. Accountability has standards. For someone to say that you are accountable, there must have been a standard that he expected you to meet. Without standard, he cannot say that you did a wrong thing or you failed. He cannot question you because there was no specified criteria to be followed. So we are saying that accountability has standards, and there you can explain and say that accountability should be precise. It should be precisely fixed so as to see whether assignment has been completed as per the expectation. Are we together there? It should be specified, precise, so as to know whether the standards has been achieved. The next one, the extent of accountability. Accountability cannot be just open. You will have to have a limit. There should be an extent. To what extent are you accountable? So you say the extent of accountability. The extent of accountability. Then you say that the extent of accountability depends upon the extent of responsibility. The extent of accountability depends upon the extent of accountability. The extent of accountability depends upon the extent of responsibility. Sorry. Let's look at, so we are saying that the extent of accountability depends upon the extent of responsibility. What were you obligated to do? So you will only be responsible after, or you'll only account for your action depending on what you're expected to do. Let's look at benefits of accountability. Why is it good to put somebody or make somebody accountable on his action or to his action? Benefits of accountability. Benefits of accountability. Number one, it makes people build trust. Build trust. When somebody is accountable, we can trust that person. Najua kama wewe ni CEO, unaambiwa you have to meet a certain standard or you have to do some things as expected. Otherwise, you are going to be accountable. Then that one, we can now have trust in that organization. We can also trust you because you will know you cannot do anything less than the expectation. So trust, we are saying that it helps to build trust. Imagine you are having somebody who is not accountable, like daktari anafanya operation but is not accountable. He will not be answerable to his action. Will you accept, will you trust that daktari to do operation? Yani kuna daktari anataka kufanya operation, lakini whatever outcome will be realized, he will not be accountable on anything. Do you trust him with his work? Do you think you can allow him to operate you or do operation on somebody that you know? It's not easy. We are saying that it also helps to improve performance of the individuals. It helps to improve performance. It is only when you are accountable that you can be keen and improve in terms of your performance. Only when you are held accountable. It also makes people comply for better compliance. With expectations. It will make people comply. The next one, it promotes employees' engagement. It promotes employee engagement because it has been shown that when individuals feel empowered to find a solution to achieve certain goals, the sense of ownership is always the key driver. When you are given the power, you are given a responsibility, which will be accounted for later, then you now feel like you own the action, you own the activity. And that has been realized that this one actually makes the employees get driven to achieve the goals. And so they engage themselves. Imagine if so you're not going to be accountable in whatever you're doing in the office. You'll always spend time just surfing on WhatsApp, TikTok. Nobody will ask you anything. So we are saying that you need to always be accountable. And so you have to engage yourself and be committed. That is the of the company. The company must have been and the business must between a company that is paying and the employees that are being paid. Okay, so let's look at power and authority. That is another area that is examinable. Power and authority. Power and authority. Power and authority. Tumeona hizo areas that I've mentioned: responsibility, accountability, delegation, decentralization, centralization, power and authority. In this topic number 3, if the examiner has to say something in it or from it, they always look at things like that one. So be careful, and you need to understand them well. So let's look at that. Power and authority. Power and authority. So what is power? Somebody has a question? Hey, Mali. Okay, somebody has a network problem, Amy and Mercy. But I hope they're okay. So I want to define power and say that power is the ability. Power is the ability Power is the ability to exert influence. Power is the ability to exert influence on other people. If you have the ability to influence somebody or to put influence on somebody, mpaka afanye vile unataka, then you're powerful. Can somebody tell me the experiences in terms of power that you have seen? Mercy, tell me the experiences that you've had in terms of power. Do you know that some people have power because of knowledge? Watu wanakuheshimu because of what they think you are or you know. Some people have also power just because of beauty. Ushaona watu warembo wanatembea na watu wakubwa kubwa because of the way you dress. When you dress well, you feel powerful. Even when you're walking, you feel courageous and powerful. Lakini wakati umevaa vibaya, yeah, you don't even want to go where people are. Why? Because your power level is down. You put on well, you are powerful, you feel courageous, right? If you are well groomed, you also feel powerful. If you are beautiful, you feel powerful. I can tell you that kuna wanaume wanaogopa dem because huyu dem ni mrembo. Wanamwogopa juu ni mrembo na hajamkosea. In fact, if they can just meet and talk, things will be okay. Lakini anaogopa hata kumapproach. Just that beauty makes you powerful. We also have power that comes from reward. For those who are worked in a bank, if somebody gives you a tip, when you're working in a bank as a teller, and a customer walks in and give you a tip, the next time that customer comes in, you'll not even afford to delay that customer. That money, that reward is powerful. That is what's being used by most politicians. They come and then they promise you that, you see, if you do this, I'll give you this. Ukimwona unatetemeka. Sijui kama ushaenda mahali. Mahali politician amekuja, unaona kuna vijana wengine wamekimbia pale, wanasalimia mheshimiwa, wanaleta viti. They are expecting something after that. They are expecting reward. That is power. Hata mheshimiwa hajaitisha viti. Anatoka pale, anakuja, anamsalimia, anataka aonekane yeye ndio anasaidia kiongozi. What is happening? The power of reward. Ndio baadaye akwe recognized, apewe kitu kidogo, hata kama hana elimu ama ako nayo. So power comes in different ways. Edwin is laughing. Also from expert. Thank you. You know somebody like PLO, when he start talking about law, people listen, right? But also expert depends only on your field. Pastor akiongea, maneno ya Mungu is very powerful in church. We shall listen. In fact, in church, any politician akiingia tunamwambia we kaa chini, pastor ongea, because in church it is only the pastor, the padri, bishops who are experts kwa maneno ya Mungu, right? Lakini tukienda kwa politics, ati pastor akuja anataka kuongea kwa podium pale Kasarani, anasema nini? Anasema nini? In fact, it's just wasting our time. When it comes to political analysis, we can see some people like Murkomen sometimes back, those who are a little bit older, kama mimi, they will realize that before Akina Murkomen became politicians, they were political analysts. They used to go to TV and analyze, and so that gave him power, such that when he went for election, anachaguliwa direct, because he gained that power from knowledge, from experience and expertise. So hata bila kukampeni, watu wanamwona wanakumbuka, huyu ni yule jamaa wa TV. Election inakuwa rahisi sana, because people, you already have power. So let's look at the sources of power on that note. Edwin anacheka kwa sababu nimesema ukweli. Edwin, si ni ukweli? Hata wewe ushaogopa mrembo kwa sababu ni beautiful. Unamwogopa na hajakutusi, hajakataa kuongelesha, but unafeel tu unamwogopa. And that is normal. That is power. Let's look at sources of power that we can always remember. So we say that if you have ability to exert influence on somebody and make him do whatever you want, then that is power, right? So let's look at this. We're talking about sources of power. Sometimes we also call it base or power. Sources or base of power. Number one, legitimate power. So legitimate is by the fact that you have been appointed legitimately, legally. This is based on the perception that the leader has the right. Unaweza pata ni mtu kadogo hivi, kama CEO fulani that I will not explain. Ukipatana na yeye anakaa kadogo hivi, in fact he's almost reaching here. Lakini the fact that is a CEO, ana drive gari kubwa, anapewa kila kitu na hata anapewa heshima na security. So that power comes by the fact that you have the right and you've been given that position legally. So it's because of the position. It's called legitimate power. You can say that this is based on perception that the leader has the right to exercise influence. He has the right to exercise influence. Number two, so this power is created and conveyed by the organization. Most companies will give you the power. Like recently last week, not even last week, on Monday, somebody from our village, that's a small child, he is almost 29 years old, was appointed as a CEO somewhere. And so he's very young, but right now nikienda kwa ofisi yake lazima nikae kiupole, right? Huko nje tunaweza piga story na mwambia wewe bwana, hakuna kitu unaniambia. Lakini nikienda kwa ofisi yake yeye ni CEO, lazima tumheshimu, right? So it is created by and conveyed it is created and conveyed by the organization. The next one is called reward power, and this one I've explained. Somebody becomes powerful because of what? He can exert influence on you because of the kind of reward you expect from him. Anakupea kitu kidogo. And I've given you example of the bank teller. And let me tell you, can we guys have powers? You can use power that somebody cannot even imagine. Ukienda kwa petrol station, peana tip. You go and exchange those coins that you have, some new $100, 100 shillings, or even 50, very new 50 shillings, not. Ukienda kwa petrol station unapeana kama mbili hivi. That guy will appreciate, and next time when you come, natashika hiyo gari yako. Next time when you come, he will serve you very fast. You go to the bank, please don't just withdraw money and go. Those tellers don't even have pairs sometimes. Can you just give them 100 shillings or even 200? unapata una change to new currency, new notes, alafu unampea kama 2 hivi, unamwambia you can have lunch today. The next time you come, in fact you even check your balance when you are at home anytime. Unachukua namba yake, kisha mpea hiyo do, unamwambia kindly assist me with your number, maybe I can call you later. So next time when you want to confirm your balance, you don't have to go and make a line in the banking. You just text, please, there was some money coming in my account. What is the balance? Because of 200, you're powerful. He will tell you, sorry, I was out of the bank. I'm going back. I'm going to send you right now. He will even send you statement without being charged. Nakwambia ukweli. Unataka bank statement, anakutumia on WhatsApp. Na hakuna hata pesa unalipa. Sasa hii enda tu useme unataka bank statement, unaambiwa jaza form pale, enda 200 shillings per page ama 100 shillings per page. Unateseka kwa sababu haujatumia power ya 50 bob. Use the power of what? Na kwa mjanja. Hii ni Kenya, si ndio? The next one is called coercive power. Coercive power, from the word to coerce. Coerce. So coercive, you write like this: C-O-E-R-C-I-V. Coercive. To coerce is to threaten. Unajua kuna wale watu wanasema usicheze na huyu. Huyu ni mambo mbaya. So people respect hata akipita mahali, and that is what some people are using, especially in Nairobi, politicians. Politician anaenda mahali lakini amebebana na goods. The first thing they do is to clear the way. Akifika mahali hata huwezi mjibu, akisema anything unakubali ama unanyamaza. Kama umekataa unanyamaza, huwezi ongea. That is called coercive power. We are saying that you can write and say that the power to force compliance. You are forcing people to comply with what you want through psychological, emotional, and physical threat. The power to force people. The power to force compliance through psychological, emotional, or physical threat. All right? And this has happened in many organizations. You can be told in companies, the examiner can ask you, how do management use this power? They can give you punishment. You go on compulsory leave. When you misbehave, they terminate your contract. They don't renew your contract. You get demotion. You get laid off. You be given fines or whatever, reprimands, such kind of things, oral warnings, such kind of things. That is coercive power. In military, it is even physical. In military, it is even physical. So let's look at the next one. It's called expert or informational power. Expert or informational power, this is based on the knowledge and expertise. It is based on the knowledge and expertise. The more knowledgeable you are, the more powerful you become. Sasa, so kama watu wanajua wewe ndio kusema, wewe ndio unajua hiyo kitu, you become powerful. And remember, when we are looking at delegation, we said that sometimes people don't want to delegate because they want to retain the power. Sindio? Yeye ndio akona information. Akidelegate utajua. You will know what is going on. So the best thing is to retain it. When you retain it, you become powerful. You become powerful. The next one is called referent or charismatic power. Referent or charismatic. And then the last one is association. Referent or charismatic ni wale watu wanajua kuongea. Ukisikia vile anaongea unatamani kukaa hapo na unaweza kaa the whole day. And you don't want people to interrupt them when they start talking. Like PLO Lumumba, like Barack Obama, I don't know Kenya, who is a charismatic. These people who knows how to talk, they have soothing words, and you can listen and listen and listen carefully. We used to have uh, Luther King Jr., right? Those are people who have charismatic power. Hana pesa, he's not that clever, but when he's talking, he's not more clever than other people, right? Not very clever than other people. Lakini akiongea, unaingia box, direct mpaka mwisho. So, power based on subordinate identification, identification with the leader. It is identified with the leader. It is usually distinguished. It usually distinguishes leaders from non-leaders. Mtu akiongea unasema huyu naye anajua kuongea. Huyu ndio tunampeleka. I've seen people electing fake politicians or politicians who are not good leaders just because of the way they were talking. The leaders will exert influence because of charisma or reputation or the influence that comes from the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. The followers wishes to be like them. You always want to be like them. In fact, to an extent that you can even change your name to call yourself like that or call your baby like that. Or at least be associated with them. You just want to be associated with them. The last one is association. I know it has another name, which I forgot, but it's called association power. Hii nayo inatokana na wale watu wanakaa karibu na wakubwa. Do you know somebody can be powerful just because anajulikana na mkubwa? Akikwambia kitu na tii, unapata mtu hajasoma, lakini ako karibu na mkubwa, yeye ndio mkubwa anamsikiza. That person you can never do anything against him. You can never face him. The fact that is very close to the president. Which kind of, who are the example of these people in the current government? Kuna huyu jamaa anatoka wapi? Ako karibu na president sana, anaitwa nani? Kuna Mkalem Brown hivi, jina yake nimesahau. That guy is very powerful. Hata ukienda State House, Sonko na Sudi. Sudi at least a politician. Kuna mwingine hapa si hata politician, he's not even appointed, but the fact that he's in the kitchen cabinet. He's brown in color. Natoka huko Uasin Gishu. Naitwa nani? There are some people who are very close to the president or the prime minister, or so they become powerful na unamheshimu. Hata kama uko na degree, you are MP, lakini yeye unamwogopa na yeye sio MP, and he can give you instruction and you follow just because of the relationship with the most powerful people. Right? We still have like 8 minutes, right? So Mercy, this is an area that you need to always look at keenly kwa sababu there are past papers where they have been setting such kind of questions. They ask you that the governor's wife was so powerful. Which kind of power? What was the source of his power? These are the sources of power or types of power. Let's look at the ways to get power. Ways to get power. How can people gain power? So we have sources of power and then we have ways to get power. Sasa, those are two different things. Ways to gain power. Number one, working hard through hard work. Watu wanakuheshimu because umefanya kazi kwa bidii. Mtu kama Jalano, mtu kama Eric Omondi, they are just working hard to reach where they are. In school, there are people that are feared because of the way they work hard. Ni chopi. Unaona mtu amekuwa chopi, yeye anasoma mpaka watu wanamheshimu. Hata mwalimu anamtambua. So doing things an extraordinary manner contributes to power. For example, when you are negotiating on a new project and you are able to work hard until the result is delivered, people will fear you. Another one is coalition. Coalition. When you remain as one person, you are not powerful. But when you collude, you become powerful. We have a number of politicians who are not powerful, but when they came into coalition with other people, they became powerful. And the first one is Mudavadi. Musalia Mudavadi, sometimes back, people didn't even care about them. The same na Wetangula. In fact, when they were going for coalition, watu walikuwa wanasema ati, you buy Wetangula moja, you get Mudavadi free. Right? Ama you buy Mudavadi, you get Wetangula free. That is what people are saying. But after coalition, when they now became one team with a winning party or winning team, they are now more powerful. In fact, one is a prime minister, another one is speaker. So you become powerful through coalition. When you are alone, you are not powerful. But when you join the team, you become powerful. And people start recognizing you. Right? The next one is competition. You gain power through competition. So being that resources are very limited, whoever managed to get the resources through competition becomes a powerful person. Like in election. And during election, unapata people are just overage. You can talk to any person the way you want. Lakini wakati amepata hiyo uongozi, you have to respect him because he has really upped his game. Na ameshinda kwa hiyo competition. So he is the one who has the resources. We compete against the resources. So the person who will get the resources, mwenye atashinda kwa hiyo competition, you're powerful. So due to the scarcity of the resources in the organization, various groups always compete with each other to have the greater share of the resources. So they will always try to influence every person, use every method possible to be able to get the space. Once they have gotten it, they get powerful. We also have cooptation. Cooptation. This is where you are being looked in and given very powerful, powerful position. Like now, what is happening with the handshake? Raila akiwa nje, watu wanamwongelesha vile wanataka. Akiwa co-opted, ameingizwa. Unaona sasa watu wanamheshimu hadi watu wa Jubilee or whatever party. Lazima sasa muongeleshe vizuri. So cooptation. Under this scheme of cooptation, a group gives some of its important position members to the other groups or includes them in a policy-making committee. Hence, the criticism and threats from those others are blunted. Sahi, watu wachache sana wataongelesha president vibaya. Hata akienda Nyanza, aende Kisumu, aende wapi, hakuna mwenye atamongelesha vibaya. Because what he did, he co-opted part of those people in his government. Now mdomo imefungwa, right? That is a way of getting power. It's not powerful. Akienda huko hata huwezi ongea, hakuna kupinga. Co-optation. Co-opt them, just a few of them. Na hiyo story imeisha, umeshinda. The next one is cultivating the right people. So, cultivating the right people basically means that you need to be in good books with the people who have powers. Or you want them to recognize you so that you can also have a say. So a person can gain power over another person by the use of flattery, creation of goodwill, acting humble, and being friendly prior to making a request. What do you normally do when you, for ladies, when you want money from your husband or boyfriend, what do you normally do? When you want money from your boyfriend or girlfriend, or boyfriend or husband, what do you normally do? You need to act friendly, or even your father. No, personally, I used to have an uncle that when I want something from him, alikuwa kamzee kidogo, I will go and just sit with him, tunapiga story, alafu I go and fetch firewood, namletea hapo, nawasha moto ya jioni, tunakaa hapo na yeye, tukipiga story, alafu after that, nikipush my request, he will not refuse because I've become friendly. Sasa hiyo ndio sasa naanza ku launch my request. That happens to so many people. You don't just walk. Even men, when you want to approach a lady, you don't just approach a lady kama anatembea. Lazima kwanza position yourself in a way that haizi kataa. In a way that sasa unajua hapa, if I launch my bid, haizi enda bure. So that is called cultivating the right people and of course the right time. You need to know what time should I now hit and to who. Otherwise you will be embarrassed thoroughly. So anyway, you can be embarrassed. You need to know when. So thank you so much. That is the end of today's class. Nimemaliza on time. Mercy, nimemaliza on time. So let's come and meet again tomorrow, God willing. Any question? And tomorrow's class, we shall look at conflicts, if possible, God willing. We shall look at conflicts and conflict resolution. And that should be the last part of the topic. So look at this kind of question that was said sometimes back. Mercy, before you leave, I want to look at this question. They are saying that with reference to aspect of management, explain the following terms: power, authority, accountability. That was 202. And then the area that we shall cover tomorrow, they were saying, explain the term organizational politics. Hii tutafanya kesho. Discuss the importance of leadership as a function of management. Hiyo tumefanya, si ndio? Why leaders are supposed to be there. Discuss the strategic roles of leaders. Summarize the qualities of an effective leader. Hii uko nayo. Examine 4 types of delegation of authority in an organization. Uko nayo. So hii nimefunza, hii nimefunza, hii nimefunza, na hii nimefunza, na hii nitafunza kesho. So utakuwa sawa. Nice afternoon.
Mwalimu, acha ni screenshot. I want to screenshot those.
Come again?
Question. I want to screenshot that. Wait.
You want to screenshot?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Aha, go ahead.
Then from the beginning.
Si imeanzia hapa, ni hii tu. Hii ndio ya kwanza.
Okay,
Hapa.
okay. Scroll. Okay, there.
Is not?
Fine, it's fine. Thank you.
Aya, any question? That was Sadia.
Yeah.
Mercy, Samsung amejificha jina.
Nice evening.
Okay, Sadia. Thank you. Sorry, Sadia, kindly call me. Nataka nisikie story yako imefika wapi. Ile tulikuwa tunaongelea, sawa?
Okay, sir.
Okay, call me.
At what time then, or I'll text you. Then you'll tell me the time. I can call you.
Just call me now before I go back to work.
Okay.